everyone. My name is Lori Clark Horton, and I would like to welcome you all and thanks for coming in and listening to the story, very sad story of little Nigeria. We are really happy that her aunt and her cousin were able to join us tonight. And first, I'd like to thank the host of Community Advocate Network, Deborah Mitchell, for inviting me as her co-host tonight. So upon welcoming all of you guys, I would like for Jenell and Kewana to come in and introduce themselves. About Nigeria, what type of person was she? What is some of her background? Just kind of fill us in on the truth of Nigeria.
You want to go first, Kewana, or you want me to go? Or
you can go. It's fine.
Ziyah was sweet. She was quiet, affectionate. She was an innocent child. She loved to dance. Ever since she was small, 6 months old, she could dance better than most grown people. Really good in school, well behaved. She was isolated, so she didn't get the opportunity to even achieve her full potential.
Okay, Kewana, do you want to share?
Yeah, she was, like she said, she was a really loving young lady. She loved attention. Um, she loved being around family. She was the typical little girl. She really was. And as she said, she just didn't have, the proper support.
Okay, and I'd like to let the audience know Nigeria. That name is kind of like a little different name for me, Nigeria. She was a 13-year-old, a young 13-year-old, coming home from school on the school bus, as any other child would have. And for what all we know for right now, that she never made it home. Nigeria was really just basically in the limelight that she was about to just go. Am I correct? Was she was going home or was she going to visit? Can you kind of tell us something about her getting off the bus and what came next?
For what we understand, she was supposed to get off the bus and go home. We've been isolated from the family because of our feelings towards situations going on in the household. But basically what we got information from family members who have spoken to us, she was supposed to come home and she didn't.
Okay. She was supposed to come home and she didn't, and she's 13 years old. So how do you have any idea, Kewana, how long it was before anyone realized that she was not home, she did not come home or get off the bus to come home, to go home?
Honestly, I think it was too long before anyone in the house realized that she didn't get off the bus and come home, because I would have realized right away that my child wasn't walking in the door at the normal time that they usually walk through the door.
Okay, what was that time frame? Could you share with the audience the time frame before they really realized that she wasn't home?
Well, from what I read in like news reports and things like that, and the police that I talked to, she should have been arriving home a little bit after 3:00. I even went over there and sat on the corner of Cornwall and Outer Drive and watched the buses come. I wasn't exactly sure which bus she was on, but all the buses came within 2 to 3 minutes of each other and were gone by 3:10. So she should have been home between 3 and 3:15 because the house is right around the corner from the bus stop, not even a 5-minute walk.
Literally.
So again, has anyone figured out the amount of time what was the time frame that she actually became missing?
We know they said that she went missing after getting off of the bus. That's all we know. We just learned recently that they didn't realize she was missing until around 6:00.
And that's when the police called? Did the mother, the guardian notify the police?
No, all the information received is that they claimed that they went to look for her, but no neighbors on that block. We went and asked when we passed out flyers. The neighbors on that block said they didn't even know a little girl was missing, especially not the little girl from that house because they were familiar with that house.
Right.
They were familiar with the house.
Yeah.
Were there any other children, young children, older children in the house that you know of?
Multiple children frequent that household and live in that household. At least, let me see, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 11 children.
Wow.
Have lived in that house recently. And currently there are 7 that live there and 2 others that may possibly still frequent that household.
One of the things, Lori, if I can interject for a second,
yes.
one of the questions that is commonly asked in terms of the family, I want to, get through this and go on to some other things, but not only were there a lot of small children in the house, um, it has become public knowledge in terms of, number one, everybody knows Jarvis Butts, who is been identified as the suspect in this crime, and of course, as of today, has been bound over to trial to face all of those charges and even increased charges. The prosecutor added, or it upgraded, I think is the better term, a charge today. So we are grateful for that. But one of the questions that I get a lot in the comments is asking about the grandmother's history in terms of her having her own children and how she was able to get foster children. And then um, was Jarvis Butts living in the home or not? Things like that. If you guys could clarify for us any, whatever information you can share, because of course this is still an ongoing investigation. So we don't want to say anything that's going to interfere with that process. But anything that you guys can share in terms of the dynamics of the home, as far as the access maybe that Jarvis had to the children. You said how many children were in the house, but again, like I said, with the public already being aware that there was issues with the grandmother, would you either one of you know how she was able to um, bring in foster children in the home?
You want to answer that, Kewana, or you want me to answer it?
It don't matter. You can answer.
Lies. She lied.
Deceit.
And I'm assuming that foster care didn't do a very good check on her when she was able to even get custody of Ziyah and her brother, as well as not as when she was able to get the other foster children she has cared for, as well as the 2 children that she fostered and has adopted.
And also, I would like to add, we found that she had only made them aware that she had 2 children, and she has more than 2 children. So I don't know if cases were missed from that. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but
She has 7 children, and from what I understand, I have people I know who work in foster care and things like that. They ask you about your children. They want to interview your children, see how your children are, how they turned out, where they life with, what type of upbringing they had. Well, unfortunately, out of her 7 children, the first one ran away at a very young age. The second one, he stayed home to 18 and went to school. Then Ziyah's mother, she has had some difficulties in life and ran away at 13. Then the next child ran away at 16. Then the next child left at 17 or 18. and they just all have been going through some triumphs in their life that we feel they would have never had to go through if they had better parenting. This is
Yeah.
one reason why my father, like my father and my grandmother tried to help Annette when she was young. Um, and she wasn't receptive to the help that she received. My grandmother and father got her 11 years old. She was pregnant. My grandmother helped her get a HUD home, pay for attorneys to help her get her baby because he ended up becoming a ward of the state because she was so young. And Annette just continued to be promiscuous and things like that. But she was a victim of a lot of trauma herself.
Yeah.
Um, so her children, they have some issues too. Everybody got their problems, but it's to the extreme.
If I may ask, Deborah, I'd like to ask this question: how did the alleged accuser, how did he even come into contact? I'm trying to figure out, how did she get in contact with him? She lived in one residence and he lived in another. What was the connection of the contact?
As far as Naziah,
Yes.
her aunt, my niece, her aunt Shannon, that was her boyfriend, the father of her children. Um, Wherever Shannon was, he was.
Okay. So I guess a lot of the people, I'm getting some people are dinging me on the other end, but they're trying to understand. They thought that the child lived with the aunt.
No, Naziah
No.
was living with her grandmother, Annette. But Shannon was always over Annette's house prior to moving back in with her. I think she moved back in maybe August or something of 2023. She
And
was living in a townhome that I let her go live in. She was living in a townhome. It's a Section 8 townhome. I incomed out of it when I graduated from nursing school. I signed it over to her, thinking it would be a stepping stone to help her and her children. And we would keep it in the family, and maybe the next person who needed a stepping stone to go finish school or whatever could use it. Well, Shannon got evicted from that townhome because of her and her shenanigans with Jarvis. So she ended up having to move back in with Annette sometime in August or September of 2023. That's how she got back in the home with Annette. But prior to that, Naziah was with Shannon all the time at her home. And Jarvis was where Shannon was when he was with Shannon and not the others that he was with.
Does anybody know how he was able to stay in the house with minors, being that he had been a sex offender, even imprisoned?
We were told that he was no longer on parole and that he could be around children. But I thought the law was that you can't even live in the vicinity of school. So how is it that you can live in a house with children that are not yours, which it really didn't matter if they was his or not? He violated them. So, but that's what we were told. Most recently, when all this stuff happened, they said that's why.
Yeah.
So,
Also,
yeah, go ahead, Kewana.
we were told that most recently, and also I was told that upon me calling protective services while Shannon was living in Clinton Township, my question to them was just that: why and how is he allowed to be around the children? Because we kept constantly being told that they're not finding any signs of abuse. And so that was one of my questions. Well, there's a pedophile in and out the home,
Right.
basically living there, on a regular basis. Isn't that enough? And that's what they told me,
Yep.
that it wasn't.
I want to get off into that too, in terms of the CPS cases. I want to cover that. But now I I think I remember correctly, and you all correct me if I'm wrong, that there was something, or at some point Jarvis was not on the registry, sex offender registry. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, when I initially found out that Jarvis was a sex offender. It's almost 12 years ago.
Wow.
And I asked Shannon about it. I stumbled. She didn't tell me. I stumbled over it because of a situation where he had got arrested and had her daughter in his custody at that time. He had the child, and we had to go get the baby because he got arrested. So I was looking him up to see what he got arrested for. Then it popped up his oldest information saying that he was a sex offender and had sexually assaulted a child under the age of 13. And I looked at Shannon and I was like, Shannon, he's a sex offender. Yeah, he said the girl lied. I'm like, it says the girl was 13, and then I did the math on his age. I said he was 24. So it ain't no lie there. Yeah, but he did his time. And I'm like, nah, nope. I was like, you need to leave him alone. Over the course of the years, I would tell her, you need to leave him alone. He was not good to her. He did not treat her well. He did not teach the children well at all. He fathered them. He created them, but he was not a father figure that I would have tried to hang on to for the kids. But anyways, I looked on the sex offender registry and saw that he was not on there. So I called, and that's when they went after him. And eventually, maybe about 6 months later, he had to report. They registered him, and he ended up on the sex offender registry.
So he was supposed to be on the registry the whole time.
The whole time. And this was like 12 years ago. But get this. His last report is 2019. He hasn't reported for his sex offender registry since 2019. So he probably wasn't reporting it very often in between those times either.
Yeah. So you said he fathered some children. So you're saying that in the time frame that he was with your stepsister?
No, he was with my niece Shannon.
Your niece Shannon, that he actually fathered some children in the home or outside the home?
He has 5 children with Shannon. It was almost 6.
Oh, okay. And okay.
Yeah. There's a question though that popped up as well in the comment section about him having 13 children.
He has more than 13.
I've listened to other podcasts covering the story, and I heard the number 20.
He has more than 20 children.
He has more than 20 children.
He has adult children that are almost the age of Shannon.
Oh, wow. Oh. What is she in her early 30s, right?
Shannon's 31, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh. And I think his oldest daughter is around the age of 26, 27. He's my age. He's 42.
Yeah. Because even the judge said it in her ruling that he had 13 children. And I think it came from that interrogation he did with the detectives. And I guess maybe he only claims 13 of them.
That's his nucky number. He says that all the time.
Oh, yeah. I thought I remembered hearing the number 20. But as far as that is concerned, he has other children with underage girls.
From what I understand,
he already has, right?
Yeah, from what I understand, his older children were all with girls in their teens, and he was in his 20s.
Yeah.
And then along the time when Shannon was dating him, they was going back and forth with each other. There was a young lady who was like 18 who said that her child was his. I don't know whatever came along with that, but yeah, it's possibly she's one of the young ladies that's listed on the friend of the court registry.
So do you think, Deborah, please don't let me get ahead of myself, but I have to ask this question. Did Ziyah, did she ever show or talk or say anything to anybody? I mean, any hints,
yes, she did.
The world wants to know. I mean, this is a young 13-year-old child, and from my understanding, this took place a year ago. Today.
She told. No,
she did tell.
It all started, my issue, me and Shannon were thick as thieves. I love the children. I would go around, went to Disney World. We traveled together. Then she called me and told me that it was a birthday party in February of 2022 for her second daughter's birthday. And most of the children, pretty much all the children were at the house, the grandchildren. There was one little girl who was another, Annette's other sister's daughter was there. Now, this child had never been around Jarvis alone before. Or I think she might have been at the birthday party or something, adult birthday party, but it was at a hall. But she was at Shannon's home, and this young lady was so afraid. Shannon's telling me this. She ran upstairs, frantic and afraid and scared, and wanting to go home and wanted to call her mother because Jarvis touched her inappropriately while she was in the basement playing with the puppy. While this little group, now Jarvis was on a game. He wasn't thinking about going up there with Shannon or nothing. Shannon says all of a sudden, while she's up there, she's trying to calm this little girl down and talk to her. Jarvis comes and knocks on the door and says, "What's wrong with her?" And I said, "Shannon, why are you calling me? Is he dead or is he in jail?"
Mm-hmm.
No, he left. What you mean he left? Call the police. Let them know where he's going, what car he's in.
Right.
Well, I'm about to take her home, then I'm going to call my mama. What? So I called her back like maybe 30 minutes later. Like, did you call the police? No, my mama said bring the kids home tomorrow morning. She going to talk to them. I'm like, no, y'all don't need to talk to them. You need to contact the police. She did not contact the police. I found out later the police were never contacted. The next day when I called Shannon, I talked to her. She said, my mama talked to them and said the kids ended up telling us they lied. They was mad because he wouldn't give them no money. So I called Annette and I said, Annette, are you guys going to call the police? She said, yes, we're handling. I'm going to call the police. So I left it alone. Like, she's going to call the police. Shannon assured me that the police had been called. They were involved. There was an investigation going on. All of this. This was in February 22. Well, in April of 22, I called Shannon in a lie. The police were never called. The children were not receiving counseling. Nothing had happened. So I went to the Clinton Township Police and I told them that I wanted to make a report. They told me I couldn't make a report because I didn't have enough information about the child who actually accused him of the sexual abuse. I said, but the other children also accused him of sexual abuse. They said, well, they didn't happen that night. And I'm like, he said it would probably be best for you to call CPS. So I called CPS and I told Shannon I called CPS. I said, if y'all didn't call, I told you to call the police. I told you to get the kids help. You didn't do it. So I'm calling CPS. I'm not only you, but I'm calling them on your mama too. Because it happens, whatever's happening at your house is most likely happening at your mother's house. They never called. And then that's when Kewana got involved. I didn't, my husband knew what was going on. And a few other people who knew Shannon because she had told them stories. But this is how Kewana got involved. So I'll let Kewana tell what happened on her end.
So then I end up going over there to drop off Ziyah some clothing. And once I got there, Shannon pulled me to the side and said, I got to tell you something. And I go, okay, what's going on, little cuz? And she said, that Jenell and called protective services on me and lied and said that Jarvis was doing something to the kids. I said, what? It's what do you mean she called protective services to say Jarvis was doing something to the kids? How would that come about? So that's when she went to tell me it was a party, and she explained that what happened at the party, and that they end up questioning the children and her daughter along with Ziyah, along with my other little cousin, which I've never met, had expressed to her that Jarvis offered them monies to do things inappropriately. She said, however, she found later on that her daughter was lying. And I said, Shannon, kids don't lie about stuff like that. But a child not gonna come and tell that something like that happened and just be lying. You need to further investigate. No, that Jenell just trying to start some stuff. I said, no, I don't feel like she trying to start no stuff. I feel like she care and concerned about what's going on in the household as far as the children. This is outside of you and her relationship. This is about looking out for the children. And so we began to go back and forth. And I became what she like to call it, the op, being as though now I'm taking up for the kids. So I contacted Jenell and said, what's going on? Because we hadn't talked for a little while. And I said, explain to her what I had heard and what Shannon had said, and she told me what happened and what transpired. So that's when I called Protective Services.
Could you tell me the length of
Um,
time it was before either one of you called? Because it seemed like it was a long stretch before the
The
police
initial
and
incident
Child
happened.
Protective Services was notified.
The initial incident happened in February of 2022. I was told that
Right.
the authorities were involved. When I found out that the authorities were not involved, Shannon was lying to me.
22 or
called
24?
22.
22.
Okay.
So in April of 22, I figured out another incident happened where a child was doing some sexually inappropriate things. And I said, well, what's going on with the case? And isn't she in counseling? And you need to go to the police and take the phone. She sending pictures to somebody on Instagram. She had told somebody else. She tell people this stuff like it's nothing. Like it's the normal everyday thing. She told somebody who wouldn't even related her to this story, and they called me to tell me what she said. And then I called her to ask her about it. So that's when I called CPS in April, when I found out she had lied to me.
April of which year?
2022.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So then Kewana called me. I don't even think it was like maybe 3-4 weeks later. Kewana called. Other family members had already called and were calling when all of this was going on because I wasn't getting any response from CPS. The CPS worker that I talked to told me the children denied it. I said, so look at the adults. If the children are not going to tell you I said, would you take the children out of the household and question them? No. I'm like, because they're afraid to say anything because they're in the Shannon in the net looking right in their face. Then I said, if the children are not going to tell it because they're afraid, then start looking into the adults. Well, we haven't found any credibility of the complaint.
Even with him in the house, been in prison.
She told me that he was not on parole and he could be in the house around children.
But he had been to prison for the same accusation. No,
yes.
Not accusation. He was convicted and imprisoned for the same thing.
This is what troubles me. I made this complaint in April of 2022. And there were several other complaints by myself, Kewana, and other family members after that. This man had a CPS case basically stating the same thing in 2015 and 2018 from completely different families.
Yeah, sure did.
And also girlfriends.
Sure did. Sure did. And after I end up calling Protective Services, one of the children had began to contact me and express things that were going on in the house, right? Because I talked regularly with the children, even when they tried to isolate me. I'm not gonna say names of the children, but one of the eldest children would try to contact me, or contact me outside of their knowledge. It began them having to sneak and call me now because they don't want us around. We get in their business. We're calling Protective Services, and so I went on to talk to workers, try to get custody, continue to call. I made calls not just in Wayne County, but again in Clinton Township. So there was calls Clinton Township, Wayne County. The Clinton Township calls was against Shannon. Wayne County was against Auntie Annette household, and then both stories were being told to both Protective Services, that city and this in that city. And
yep,
if
we did get a little bit of action, a little bit. an
Yeah.
action when it was another young man who was much older than Ziyah that she was acquainted with. And that's the reason why Annette had to move, is what I was told. She had to move away from that young man because Ziyah was having an inappropriate relationship with him. And that's the reason why.
Is this the autistic guy?
Yes. And then
Yes.
I also was told that they told Shannon at this point that Jarvis could not come around the children.
Hmm.
Who told her that?
CPS.
Okay.
This
Hmm.
is what I was told by someone. I don't know for sure, but this is what I was told by someone at CPS that Shannon, that he was not supposed to be around the children at that point because I guess we had called so many times.
Right.
Okay, yeah. I want to go back to something real quick when Lori was asking about if Naziah had said anything or that it would that made any gave any type of inclination that anything was wrong. And I want to mention this from the court proceedings that have been going on this week when the teacher or substitute teacher testified that the last day was I presume it was the last day that Naziah was in school. She came in her room. Apparently, this particular sub had a rapport with Naziah. She would give her candy every day or something like that, and she would come in her room and talk to her. And the lady said that Naziah laid on the floor and said she needs to see a counselor. But it so happened that the counselor never came in that day. And so, and of course, we didn't see her anymore. So that was one thing. And then I wanted to ask you guys about this. If you were aware of this that I heard on one of the videos from another podcast. It said, okay, that Naziah was um, telling her classmates that she was planning to run away because she was pregnant. Had you guys heard anything about that?
Yeah, we heard so much.
It's a
That was
whole lot
after
of.
she went missing. So yeah, we've heard that. We have heard every accusation, scam. Yeah, we heard that.
Okay. Okay. I wanted to clear that up. And then also now I believe Kiwana, you pretty much grew up around and Naziah's mom and being close to in the unit and having being in Naziah's life actively. Well, I guess both of you were
Yeah.
in her life actively up until the
June of
cases being filed and whatever rift caused the family to that broke down the family. So yeah, can you talk about Kiwana, um how well, first of all, let's clarify for the public how long Jarvis has been around, because they are the information that is out there, only indicates uh from that he started abusing Naziah at back in as far back as 2022. But there's a question that it may have probably more than likely had gone on much longer. So let's establish for them exactly how long, when did you all become aware that he was around, like when Shannon was dating him and all of that, those types of things, to give, to clarify. Basically, I want to get rid of some misinformation that's out there.
um,
So,
go ahead.
good.
No, good. Yeah, Kawana.
So Jarvis have been around since Shannon was 16, right? She was
Yeah,
about
we didn't know
16.
about it until later, but
Yeah.
after she had her daughter, he had been.
Right,
We found out during this whole ordeal that she had been acquainted with him since she was about 16.
right. And we had no clue, not just that he was the age that he was, um, but no clue that he had a record, you know?
Right. Yeah, but and I think that's
A record of being a pedophile. Let me say that.
right, right. Um, yeah, because that's a lot of the thing is, you know, where was the family? Oh, and the other thing is, let's clarify. And we don't have to go into extensive details about her mom, but can we please clarify? Um, just a general idea of her mother and the father. We know that the father did pass away last year, but if you guys can share with us just a little bit, just to put that to rest, so that people
Um,
understand what the dynamics are.
I'll speak on her mother because I really didn't have a relationship with her father. Kewana knows him better than I do. Um, her mother loved her. She loved her children. She just had, like I said, she grew up um, with the net in a household, and she went through the same thing at 13 as Nazaya. So she had a lot on her, and no one ever got her help. So, and she loved her children. She just couldn't fight those demons that were chasing her. When all this stuff was going on with Nazaya, we finally caught up with her because people were lying, and specifically Annette and people in the family were saying that she just left. She never left. She said, "I'm staying here until y'all find out what happened to my baby." But she just staying out the way because Annette was trying to say she had something to do with it. Other people were trying to say, when actually she was the first person to give the police the information that they needed to try to figure out what happened to Nazaya.
Oh, wow.
But when we found her just talking to her, she said, "This stuff just keep on falling, this sex stuff. She said, it just keep on chasing me. It's chasing me. Now it's got my baby."
Oh my God.
This
So
is really sad. Something, not to, I hate to, I'm not trying to cut you off, but it's just a whole lot going on in my head right now
Yeah.
because working in early childhood development, and I'm thinking 10, 12-year-old girl. I have 10 and 12-year-old children in my before and after school program, summer camp, and all of this. So I'm saying to myself, where was the indication at school that something was going on with
Yeah.
there were several
Isaiah?
indications at school, but the school would call Annette instead of going through the proper channels. You tell me this: if a child is on a playground and a car pulls up to a vicinity where the child can talk to them through a fence, and the child is talking to them, and the teacher goes over and say, "Hey, who are you talking to?" And the guy says, "I'm her dad." And the child agrees, "Yes, that's my dad." Do you call the grandmother, or do you make a report as well as calling the grandmother?
No, in that case, no, until I get the child information card and verify who that father is with the identification, he would leave until he's ID'd.
Well, he pulled off
Period.
once the teacher started questioning him. And then when
Mm-hmm.
they talked to Annette, she referred that Ziyah did not have a relationship with her father. So what did they do after that? Like, for the safety of not only the Ziyah, I feel like some type of report or police report should have been made for the safety of any other child he may have came back and tried to talk to. Because they
I would
didn't know
think,
who he was.
yeah, I would think that it would have at least been documented that an
Yes.
adult male was spotted, observed,
Mm-hmm.
interacting with the child in the
Mm-hmm.
schoolyard or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
blah, blah, blah. I think that the school, well, it's clear that the school just,
Didn't follow proper protocol.
No, they weren't paying
it
attention at all.
absolutely, it's unbelievable. The
If that happened.
amount of callousness between these social institutions, CPS, the police department, and the CPS, the police department, and the school as well. To the point, callousness to the point of liability, as far as I can see. I don't think that and I don't anticipate there being any type of lawsuits or anything like that file, but they certainly, everybody, dropped the ball on this one. So
There's a
yeah,
Deborah,
go ahead,
there's a
Laura.
lot of
Go ahead, Kiwana.
accountability. A
Yeah.
lot of accountability. I mean, there's a lot of people that need to be held from me listening to this accountable. And
Oh
even
yeah.
to the point where cell phone messages on cell phone. Who don't check a 13-year-old cell phone?
Messages
Because
on the
first of all,
school
who's paying
laptop.
for the cell phone?
Right.
Messages on the school laptop.
Yeah.
Mm.
Go
I
ahead,
agree.
Kiwana. The
Yeah, go
second
ahead,
half is
Kizana. I'm
about
sorry.
her dad.
Well, he is deceased. I want to respect that, but I can say that this started out a working relationship with him and my cousin. We met him together actually. He spoke to me and we were having a conversation. Um and I went on to my vehicle and him and my cousin continued to converse and they exchanged numbers. And they were talking about business. My lady works on houses. Kenyetta, her nickname is Lady. She works on houses and she's really good at it. And
Oh.
so he needed some help as far as his business, and that's how they met. And so they met a business relationship. She was with him regularly, like every day. And I wasn't with them on a daily basis, but I do know when she became pregnant with Naziah. At first, her being a mother and dealing with a man in which he has a family and so on, she was torn between, was she gonna keep her child or not keep her child, and so she made a decision of keeping her child, um with the expectation that they would parent her together. And some things happened along the lines. He had a family at home, and things got really ugly with them as far as that was concerned. And so Naziah, from my understanding and from what my cousin was telling me, Naziah wasn't seeing him regularly. However, from my understanding and what he told me is that he was trying to see her, and my aunt was making it hard for him to see her because at the time she was trying to get custody of the children. And so not even so much making it hard, but you know, telling him that it's best for her to be her guardian because she can do the things for her that he can't do. Again, he had a situation, and at that time his wife wasn't aware that Naziah was born, and that went on like that. She convinced him to let her they came to an agreement that she would parent Naziah, so to say, and they end up moving. He lost contact, and so many things happened in between when they lost contact. He was consistently paying child support, from my understanding. He told me that personally, that he was consistent with paying his child support. Whether that child support was being spent on Naziah or not, you know, there were many times where she needed things, which was one of the reasons why I would take her clothes. Some new, some, I have two daughters, and my daughters, they like, nice things like any young person. And so Naziah is smaller than them, and we will pass it down. And not just me, they have two other cousins. I won't say their name. And, the mother of one of my aunt's children, she, same thing, her daughters. So, we were looking out for Naziah as far as clothing and such. So yeah, that's that story. And then once this came about, with Naziah missing, he found out about it, and he was out there, like we were, as far as the organized searches is concerned. And passing out flyers. I met up with him a few times, and we were passing out flyers and so on. So there's that. They both made a mistake. But Naziah was none other than the blessing, and it's unfortunate that all this had to happen like this. It's really sad that not just her father, and in a situation, her mother, and she's no longer here.
Can I
Um,
ask the question? Did anyone know she was pregnant? I mean, at 13, I'm going to keep saying a young girl at 13. You are a mother, you're an auntie, you're a grandmother, whatever. You're going to
Uh,
notice somebody has to buy
I I
supplies.
I believe that they did know that she was pregnant. We did not know that she was pregnant until all of this happened, and then we saw the videos, and we started kind of like looking and assuming, like,
right.
wait a minute, it look like she's pregnant. And I personally feel strongly that they knew that she was pregnant.
Because mind you, we were no longer allowed to see them. So it was phone calls now. It was, I'm sneaking to call you to say hi because they weren't allowed to talk to us. So that's how I was in communication, and that's how she was in communication. It was phone calls. We couldn't see them. So we weren't seeing them visually, aside from the oldest child. I won't say his name, but
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
yeah,
You
we
know,
weren't
she
allowed.
And
We
would.
weren't seeing the Zaya.
Zaya would text every now and then if she can get a hold of a phone, or she would. I think one time she reached out to me on social media. The last time I saw Naziah was June of 2022 because
when
I
the
saw CPS in April, and I saw her June of 2022, and I was taking one of the other children with me because I have a son that's close
Mhm.
in age with one of the other children. They're very close, and I was taking them on a trip. It was like a Father's Day football trip or something. And I saw her that day, and she wanted to go. And I'm like, I'm gonna come back when I get back in town. We gonna make plans. I'm gonna come and get you. Well, I tried to get her like a week and a half later, take her to lunch, let her spend the night, get her nails done, do something fun with her, and they told me that she could not go.
Same thing.
Continuously tried to do things for the children, reach out to the children, spend time with the children, be around the children, and they wouldn't let us be around. I showed Deborah the text message where I tried to offer to pay for cheer, like the boys. Two of the older boys in the household were allowed to go and play football. And I'm like, well, all these years, these boys get to go play football. Well, they got a scholarship. I'm like, they got cheerleading scholarships too. And if they don't, I'll be willing to pay for her to go to cheer. Why she always got to sit in the house? Why she can't
Mm.
never go and do anything? They declined my offer for that.
And
And
I'll
what
tell you
really
why.
puzzled me was when Isaiah said that I I need the medicine or whatever it was that she was saying she needed
Her
because
sanitary napkins. Yeah.
no, this was she needed something because
Oh,
gym was getting very, very difficult for
for
her.
her to
So
do.
that
Yeah.
tells me that she had to be
Further along.
farther along for it start for it to start being a challenge for her to do activities in gym. So it tells me that somebody in the household, an adult somewhere, had to notice something. And I'm not just saying this to be ugly towards anybody out there, but like this is real. This is a young 13-year-old girl that is pregnant that cannot buy her own sanitary napkins. I haven't heard anybody say she had a job.
Mm-mm.
So, I mean, did they
Well,
have
cleaning the shop,
Sam's Club
apparently.
stocks and
Yeah.
stocks and stocks of this?
Cleaning
Or
public
what was, did
bathroom.
you look at her? Did you, what? Because,
I wouldn't put it past the things that they know. Somebody knew that was around her. Whether it was one of the other children, but I really believe that the adults knew. I grew up, I was a teenage girl. I was raised by my grandmother, and she
hmm,
kept the pads so she would know if I was coming to get them.
absolutely.
And even if
Yeah,
I came and got them, she said, let me see. She came in the
Yes.
bathroom to check me when I
Hmm.
was
I
13,
agree.
14
I
years
got two
old.
girls, and they're never without their personals,
Yeah, right.
And not only
Yeah.
that, but I pay too much attention to my daughters for them to walk around here
Exactly.
and
Do
be
you
pregnant.
touch your child? Do your child lay in a bed with you? Do you?
Yeah.
I remember at 13 climbing in the bed with my grandmother, laying on her, her always hugging on me, her coming in my room while I was undressed to see what I was putting on going to school that day. Because at that age, 13, you want to wear the belly shirts, and she wasn't having that. But she stayed
Yeah.
on top of me. She knew what I was doing, like what I was wearing, and if
Yeah.
she saw me wearing sweatshirts and stuff all the time, she would have. I was 20 years old when I got pregnant with my first child, and she was like, "What you? she figured it out because I didn't tell nobody until I was further along. And she figured it out. She was like, "You pregnant?" I was like,
listen, let me tell you something. They can we don't have to even go to pregnancy. How about when you start having sex
"Yep."
and they can look in your eyes and tell you
the way you
That's
walk, the
right.
way
that
you
you're not a
smell, the way
virgin
you act,
anymore.
everything.
Come
So
on.
How about
yep.
your neck turning black? Why?
Yes.
That's
What's
right.
going on with you? Yep,
Those
yep.
listen, it's
So,
the generation the people, I don't know what's going on with folks now.
but
You know,
no, let's remember, Annette runs a tight ship.
Hmm.
mm,
Hmm.
But all this was going on, and one of the babies was able to get taken off in the car to the store, and then nobody knows she was being taken,
right.
and multiple children in the households being violated.
But she
Well, for
couldn't.
one thing, with child protective services in their defense, um, or even an adoption agency, my sister works in that field. And I know, and she's had in the past, Deborah, as you know, she had foster children. They're going to come out to your house, and you have to have bedrooms according to the amount of children that's in the household.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she
So I
had all
think I
that. She
heard you
made
say
sure
it
Yes,
she
might have
she
been
dot
was
her
real
I's.
11
tight with the
children.
bedrooms. Yes,
Oh, she made sure
absolutely.
she dot her I's and crossed her
And he
T's if it
had
was
the
affecting her check.
dressers, bunk beds. So that was so
Mm-hmm.
tight in that area.
Well, for
Yeah, she
11
had that
children, she
together.
would have had to have at least 7
Well,
bedrooms.
they weren't all in the house at the same time. Well, the one house they live in, I believe, was a 2-family flat. They all initially it was just Naziah, her brother, her other daughter, and her 2 children. And then she had like 1 foster child. Well, then that foster child went away, and then the 2 came. And then they went away for a while because actually those 2 were supposed to be in respite care or something because they were with another family, but something happened with the family. They
Respite
needed
care,
respite.
temporary care, like on the
Yeah.
weekend and stuff.
So she had them for a while, but then I guess the family, whatever they was going through, they couldn't no longer keep the children. So she ended up taking the children and keeping them permanently. And then the children went back to their parent, their abuser, and she abused them again. And then they brung them back to Annette. So she always made sure they was on top of her about that, like making sure there was enough bedrooms and the boys was separate from the girls and all this different stuff.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she
Most
didn't just come
people,
back with
yeah.
2 out of those siblings. It was even another child, which was a baby that was
Yeah, that was their
included in that.
brother
But
because the
but
young
his
lady, and it's just a mess.
but
But
his
she
father got custody of his child.
ended
He
up
said,
getting custody of him because she
you
was
get
trying
my
to adopt
child.
all 3 of
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
yeah, she crossed her eyes and crossed her T's and dotted her eyes for all that type of stuff. But other than that, no.
Yeah. I want to get to a couple of things, guys. And when Kewana was talking, I want to make sure that we say this publicly. There are other family members who cared about Naziah and are basically kind of behind the scenes that was trying to intervene
Yeah.
in the situation. This
Yeah.
was not a situation where this child was completely abandoned by her entire family. The people, maybe did not know what was going on for a time or whatever. Can you all briefly address that, just to let people know there was other people in the family that loved Desire, was willing to take her in and all of that? Can we deal with that really quickly?
Like willing to take her in. We would have to fast forward to 2020. Was that September or October 2020?
September.
It was September
When the brother,
2022 when her
yeah,
brother ran away.
Yep, 22 of
I
September.
contacted an attorney. We were trying to find out why we were trying. First of all, we were trying to find him. We got threatened by the police saying that we was harboring a minor. We was gonna go to jail. But we had Kewana and I had to devise the plan. I contacted an attorney. We was trying to get the boy to tell them what was going on. The attorney even told him, "Hey, All you got to do is say you're not safe, and I can go and file for emergency guardianship. He refused to say that because he didn't want to go against his nana. So we were telling him, your nana is threatening to put us in jail. We had devised a plan. I was going to take the brother. She was going to take Naziyah.
Girl, so did.
Because I have boys. So I was like, I'll bring him over here. He's familiar with my boys. Naziyah was very close with Kiwana's girls. We had to devise a plan because those children wanted to go. He didn't want to tell on his nana because he was afraid that his sister would end up in foster care, or her grandmother would retaliate against her or keep her from him if he was to tell.
Right.
Wow.
So we couldn't devise it. I tried to do it, but he didn't want to tell. And the lawyer advised me, he was like, it's nothing we can do about it. I mean, he said, you can make another report of the abuse, which I did with the police officer who contacted us, threatening us with harboring a minor. Mm-hmm. We told him what was going on and why he was afraid. They didn't investigate none of that. He said his job was to make sure that the minor went back home.
Absolutely. And to add to that, not only did we, try to talk to the workers and get custody of the children, we made preparations. I did with it, which where I was living. I lived in a duplex apartment. Wasn't as much room enough. However, the manager was willing to, let me bring her there. She said, whatever you need to do for those children, we won't violate you. Don't worry about it. Do what you got to do. Because I explained the situation to her, and she told me, listen, whatever you need to do, just say the word, because that's a very serious situation. So yeah, we actually, I made preparations. I got the kids ready for this to happen. But as she said, it was, her brother, he was afraid that his sister would go into custody. And not just that, he was afraid of what would happen at home. I mean, they had already been out there multiple times, and you just never know in the mind of a child or
because he was
someone that young.
experiencing it. He was actually experiencing what was going on. Because he did go back, and then he contacted Kewana and said that he was punished after he went back and ended up leaving again, and pretty much never really went back. He's been there, but he has not lived there since he ran away those 2 times. He's basically been out here on his own.
Yeah, that
jumping from house to house.
Sure did. And once that situation occurred, that was actually the agreement amongst him and my auntie. You go wherever the hell you going. And we're gonna keep it like that. I'm not gonna let them know that you're not here. Because she was receiving funds, and so that's how that went. He was in the street, pillar to post, regularly. We were called because he needed help, cash apps, and so on. We would send them and do as much as we could, being mothers of our own children. My thing with him was, listen, I want to do this the right way. And if this is what I need you to do so that her or I, can do it the right way.
Yep.
We can get you in school, get the help you needed, get you in programs. We can't help you like we want to help you with you being in the street. Okay.
I pleaded with Shannon and her twin to maybe talk to, because he said something about he was afraid of juvenile. We were pleading basically just let us take the kids. They're not happy there. You obviously stressed out because you're snapping at them and stuff. Let us just take the kids, even if it's just temporary. Give you a break, maybe give them a new look on life or something like that. Because obviously they're not getting what they need from there. They rejected that offer as well.
Sure did.
She didn't even respond to my offer. Let's say that, but I took that as a rejection, as of no. Because if I was going to do it, the lawyer told me, don't just let her send him. We gonna get temporary guardianship because she might set you up, because she was threatening pretty much if you harboring him, you going to jail, and
Oh, she
all this
left a
different stuff.
nasty,
She
nasty
said we have to do
voicemail.
it by the book because this is a very sensitive situation.
Oh, she was threatening me regularly. I mean,
They
you
sent
know,
the police to Kewana house.
sure did. Sure did. Had them circling around my place. Had them calling my son's phone. And then she had the nerve to call me and say, if you see him, you need to bring him home. I said, well, I
Mm-hmm.
tell you what, you need to be honest about the abuse that's going on inside the home. I said, you know what's going on. I said, you know exactly why he running away. Oh no, he just want to be grown. He want to run the streets. He want to smoke weed. Well, weren't you the one that passed him his first blunt? Weren't you the one that passed him his first
Wow.
breeze? He told me
The,
because I
this,
was his favorite older cousin. So
Yeah.
he would tell me things, you know, and he would expect for that to be between him and I. But
Right.
let the truth be what it is. They were good with blaming the children and not taking accountability for themselves. Look, you
yep.
passed them the weed.
They would blame the children and
My
say
God.
that they was this, that, and the other based on things that they had been taught. The
Right.
things that they were mirroring. Everything like Naziah. A lot of people saying that she was fast. Those things that Naziah was doing, not only did Jarvis groom her at a very young age to do, but she witnessed it from the other women that were around her on a regular basis.
Sure
She
did.
learned that behavior. She
Sure
Yeah.
learned
did.
how to be manipulative. She learned, and then she was seeking attention because she wasn't getting attention at home. She wanted to feel something, and he was the only one who was paying attention to her. Obviously, because they didn't know none of this was going on, but all of it was happening on Shannon's phone.
And let me
Yeah.
say this. And let me say this. She was absolutely looking for attention. You know what? And today, was it today or yesterday? I believe it was today. They said in those text messages, she was constantly asking, "Am I ugly? Do you think I'm pretty?" Well, let me tell you, she always felt ugly. She had very low self esteem. And I was the one, you know, I would always say, "You are beautiful." That's how I gave her the nickname Pretty Eyes, because her nickname from her mom is Tuda. And then we also call her Zaza. However, I wanted to go the extra mile and make her feel, you know, feel pretty when I call her name. And so I gave her Pretty Eyes because she had some beautiful, gorgeous eyes.
She's a beautiful
But
girl.
yes, she
She's
was. But
beautiful.
let me say this. They added to her low self-esteem. They were constantly saying things to her like, "You nappy headed. You know, you got nappy hair." So she felt like it gave her a complex because all the other children have fine hair. And I would have to tell her, "Baby, you got black girl magic. You see my kinks? You see my hair? You better love yourself. You are beautiful, baby. Those are nines all through your coils." And I would have to try to make her feel good
Yeah.
because they would tear her down by making her feel like she wasn't as pretty as the other kids. You know, you
Yeah.
got nappy hair, you bony. These were the things that they was so bald headed self. That was something they said regularly, and to them it was jokingly, but to her it was damaging.
Oh
It
yeah.
sounds like some of that might have been purposely for some reason. I mean, being
Yeah.
around children in the business for almost 30 years, it's something so dysfunctional that it's probably we would never understand because we're so far from this, removed from this situation. But I'm telling you, this sounds so intentional. The negative talk to her, we don't do that. Black women don't call our children, grandchildren, black, ugly, nappy headed,
Nappy
none of
head.
that stuff. We build our children up. I
Yeah.
don't care what they look like.
Right.
They're in a black home. You are, for the most part, in a functional, in a real, in a healthy black environment. You're
Right.
taught that you are beautiful, respect yourself, love yourself. Don't let anyone disrespect you. She was being torn down on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's and now my teacher and my parent side coming out.
Right.
This is really a dysfunctional situation, and that's why Isaiah is where she is today. Until
Yep.
somebody start going into these homes and taking action, full actions. I admire you, Kewana, Jenell. I admire you guys for doing what you guys did. You did the best that you can do. But I guess now it's going to come to the point where we're going to have to start knocking on doors and saying, I believe, not to scandalize yourself, not to get yourself in trouble, but just keep knocking on the doors. Hey, why can't I come and see them? I want to see my nieces, my cousins, my nephews. I mean, we done had children put in freezers. We done had children put in dump yards, so-called dump yards. And now we have a child that God knows if we'll know where her body, if her body ever be found, an impregnated child, young baby at 13 years old. We have got to put our foot down and go at it.
Yeah.
Because this is crazy. I have experienced lots of things at my early childhood development center. And guess what? If it don't look right to me, it's not right. And somebody has to make it right to me. I'm not going to buy blood coming down a child's leg because she must have sit on a tricycle and hurt herself. Oh, no. We're going to do some investigating. And then, let the doctor tell me that. Then I'm okay. So we have to start being, as the old people say back in the day, nosy.
That's right.
Yeah.
And let me say this, if I may. I want to add to that. A lot of times, people will turn a blind eye. They'll know that these things are going on. A lot of women are so desperate to be with a man, because this man is making them feel whatever they need to feel, that they will turn a blind eye. And I know a lot of people, and I'll come back later on and talk about that. But I know a lot of people that know of sexual abuse in the home, or pedophiles personally, and they're afraid to turn them loose. It's called Stockholm syndrome, if we will.
Yep.
And they want, they'll still have these people
Protect their
around
abuser.
like their family. They'll protect their name. I mean, I've had people, go back and forth for me about their family members, and because I'm telling, why are you protecting this person? I've lost relationships because I've stood on that. If you are going to protect this person, then you are, again, like someone else was saying, a part of the problem, because it's no way in the world I'm going to know that you a pedophile, whether you my uncle, or whoever you are, and you going to come sit at my table and feast with me and my family.
Come on,
It's not
sis.
going to happen.
Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
Come
All that
on
I'm
now.
saying, what goes on in the home, stay in the home. You need to make a difference with that. Tell your daughter or tell your son what goes on in the home. Yes, stay in the home. But if it's unhealthy, if somebody's touching you inappropriately, if somebody is doing things to you to make you feel uncomfortable, those are the things you tell. But if you see mommy and daddy have an argument, and we're in an uncomfortable position because daddy or mommy came home too late or whatever, that's something different, and we'll talk to you about it. But all that, what go on at home, stay at home, and somebody's upstairs having sex with a 13-year-old or a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old. No, we're not going to hide that as Black families, and we shouldn't. No family of no race should hide that. And I hope and I pray that this person gets the justice that he deserved, because he's been to prison for this once. A lesson was not taught. I see no reason for him to be out in society
No.
amongst our young children anymore.
Yeah.
Anymore.
Yeah, because he went to prison in, what, I think 2004, 2005. He came home like 2014, 2015. The first CPS case admitting abuse was in 2015.
Again.
So he came home doing it, and he came home interacting with Shannon.
I want to interject here, though, ladies, for a second, because you all said so much in that time span. There was, oh wow, we were talking about how they were teasing her about her being nappy headed and all of that kind of thing. And I can get a visual of that, because Jarvis is light, bright, and almost white, as they used to say.
Good hair.
Biracial or something, I don't know what. And I'm sure that the children has taken on the fair skin and the fine hair.
Yeah, all the children in the hair, even the other children have even Shannon and her sister, they have a very good grade of hair. Desire hair was just more kinkier, and she was very
right. But I'm just imagining, just trying to get a visual of that environment that she was in. And so but it brings me to this thought, and I want to know your thoughts on this, because I want to say this. This is nothing that has been said, insinuated. Do I want to do this?
What?
Um,
Oh, might as
well,
well.
I'm with it. Might as
what I
well
was
be
going to
out.
say is, and I've been looking at a lot of comments and all of that all week long. And one of the things that came up a couple of times was that Shannon was jealous. Shannon, the aunt, was jealous of Naziah, knowing that, the relationship between Naziah and I hate to call it a relationship, but for lack of a better word, the relationship between Naziah and Jarvis. Do you guys have any thought, any knowledge of that, if that's even true, or just any thoughts about, do you think that she would have been jealous of Naziah?
A
Because
lot of
I
people have said
assume,
that. A lot of
yeah,
people have said that. As you can see, Naziah was jealous of Shannon and the others, but would you be jealous if y'all both was pregnant at the same time?
Jesus,
Right. Mm-hmm.
please, Lord.
my God.
Yep. And not only that, but for her to go to the extent of knowing he's a pedophile, knowing multiple times, women have called her and told her their stories. And so, knowing this, if you will go the extra mile to stay with this man, imagine knowing that he's sleeping with your niece. Okay?
And she
She
pregnant.
she loved him to
He
death.
didn't stop right there. It's a lot of demons in that house. It's a
Oh,
lot of stuff not coming out.
go
Yeah.
ahead.
I don't, I see a whole lot in my head. I'm not going to even bring it out, but it didn't stop there. It didn't
Yeah.
No, it
stop.
didn't.
It just, it's
It,
a mess what's going on
Agreed.
in that
I
house.
agree with you, Lori.
There
I
was a
agree.
whole lot of mess going on in that house, and they can cover it up to hell freeze over. But it was a whole lot of mess.
That
Everybody knew
judge
what
saw through
everybody was
all the
doing, and
mess.
some of them was doing it together. And
Yep.
I hope
that judge
I ain't
seen it
call no
all. I
names,
said, ooh,
but this is a mess. This is an
Mess.
insane
Wow.
mess. This is a little girl, 13 years old, and I don't want to say it's no fault of hers whatsoever.
Not at all.
She was
But
that's
put into
right.
this position, and I
Yes.
tell everybody that's listening out there, if you have a 13-year-old or 10, 11, 12, any age child, boy or girl, this man, from what I understand, he was messing with his own child.
Yes.
two
So
of his children,
don't
what
just
I
look at the
understand.
aunts, the uncles, the cousins. It's unfortunate.
The,
It's very unfortunate that we have to look at blood relatives now.
mhm.
Yeah.
the,
And it's
the
like one lady said years ago. She said her child's father was sleeping with her child. That's not uncommon. We hear it a
No,
lot now.
that's
No.
right.
So she said. So now when I hear my new husband, which she's had for many years now, get up, I get up. When
Mhm.
he
Mhm.
get out the bed to go use the bathroom, I'm woke. I want to hear him
Right.
come back and get in my bed. But see, I can't live like that. That's not
No.
trust.
Yeah.
That's not trust. But that's where we are now.
Janelle, you wanted to say something?
I'm just saying that's what what was some of the testimony was. One of the children in the household basically said he was messing with everybody.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Let's talk about the preliminary exam. Let's talk a little bit about you all's thoughts or what your takeaways have been, what stuck out to you during this week of trauma. I think everybody's traumatized behind listening to them phone records. I listen. I want to say something about the people calling Naziah. Oh, she was fast. Or somebody put in my comments today. The child was the aggressor per the text messages. I just blocked them.
Right.
Hmm.
I just
Hmm.
blocked them because it just
Desire was
makes no
raped.
sense for people to be. I mean, not only is it insensitive and inappropriate, that is pure stupidity. A
Hmm.
child can't give consent for a reason. neither can they be an aggressor. So listen, and I was really bothered, and almost to the point of boiling today when I saw that word fast, because this is something that has been used and specifically when it comes to young Black girls. It perpetuates it in a negative stereotype, but beyond that, this is a way to be able to sexualize a Black girl child.
Yep.
Right.
And that's what happens in that household. There's been other girls in that, other girls under Annette, when things would happen or said, she would say they being fast and this and that. When Ziyah went missing and we did reach out to some of the family, oh, she just out trying to get some dick. She being fast. I'm like, how was you speaking about this child as your
Sure did.
blood
Sure
relative?
Right.
Shannon was texting people that. Other family members were saying the same thing. Well, where did she
Absolutely.
learn to go out and get it from?
Right.
She was grown. She was a child.
Yeah.
Because if Shannon told me the information in February of 2022, how long was it going on before that? And then there were other things that before that they probably didn't even tell me about that was going on.
Right. I'm sure it was. Me too.
So
Somebody tried to tell me Shannon telling me these types of things was a cry for help. Well, then why when I helped you, you called me an op and said I was trying to break up your family?
Same to me. Oh, I got some. Like I said, I got some nasty voicemails. Ooh,
Most
child.
recently, a
She-
recent voicemail.
Very
Yeah.
recent.
All my
I
children
mean,
are by the same man.
ooh,
Girl,
baby,
a
my baby.
pedophile.
right.
Yes. Oh, she said
How
a
how can
lot
you
of
be
nasty
proud of
words.
that? Yeah.
And that's multiple times. I said, you got the energy to get on my phone and disrespect me or say whatever lies or whatever you want to come with on my voicemail or my messages, but you don't have the energy to be concerned and put the same energy into what happened to Ziyah as everybody else, and you her aunt. I'm trying to understand that.
Yeah.
But it's
Overstand
just not.
it.
It's not. I'm not even gonna say
I'm
it
trying
because
to
it's her.
overstand it. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's her brothers and sisters too. They got this thing about like they don't want to go against their mom.
Right. Well,
I'm
I
not
think
gonna say nothing
that's
because
pretty typical of kids. That's the thing. That's why they're children. I mean, they're easily manipulated. They're easily
no,
controlled.
these are the grown children.
Oh, okay.
These
Are you
are
talking
net
about
grown
Shannon's
children
children or the
who
grandmother?
know things and have seen things and noticed things and know what we've been going through for all this time and
Okay.
been telling them, and they are afraid to say anything because they don't want to go against the grandmother. They
Right.
don't want to go against her.
Yeah, somebody is making the comment, why was he ever allowed around the kids anyway? Was he not registered as a sex offender? We've talked about that already, but just a brief answer. He wasn't supposed to be around the children, hence the testimony that was made by particularly Annette, the grandmother. And I believe when Shannon testified this week, who is the aunt with the 5 children with Jarvis Butts. I believe she said it also that when they were questioning them about, him coming into the house or whatever, that's when they started talking about he comes out, he pulls up in the driveway and sits in his truck, and then Shannon goes out, and then if he want to see his kids, all his kids go out. Well, we've totally already debunked that lie, because we know that he was coming to pick up those kids, taking them to the shop alone, and all of those types of things. But hold on a second, Jenell, because I want to give you all the floor. I want to talk about what all came out in the hearings this week. What your thoughts are, what your takeaways are, and then I want to ask if you'll give me permission to talk about what happened when they had to turn the cameras off yesterday.
Oh, yesterday. Was
Don't
that
overthink
yesterday?
it.
That was
Yeah,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, maybe. Yeah.
I think it was Tuesday. Was it
Tuesday.
Tuesday? It was
Was it
Tuesday.
It
Tuesday?
was
Okay.
Tuesday. I had to think about it. Tuesday.
Yeah. So let me know if you want to do that. But who wants to go first to talk about their thoughts of the hearings? So and what has happened so far in the hearings.
You know, the things that were heard, um, they affected me as her cousin. I'm sure that it affected a lot of people. Just hearing her, that she was in that state of mind, that she needed love so bad, or just wanted to feel pretty, or feel loved by someone, that she turned to him for it. And hearing the testimony of my little cousin, um that was heartbreaking. But again, she was very brave. um and I'm proud of her for getting up there and telling it like it needed to be told. As far as the judge go, she did not come to play. She read every thought that I had been thinking, and everything that I wanted to say, she said it. And so, you know, my hats off to the judge, because she
Yeah.
absolutely seen through everything. She seen through all the mess. Um all of it, because it's a lot of mess, and she's seen straight through it. Um, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Like I said, we knew of abuse, but not to this extent. Never to this extent.
Okay.
Janelle.
Um, yeah, I was shocked about a lot of things that came out in court. Now I understand, like when we were working with and talking to um the Detroit Public School Police, DPD people, like we was in there like talking to them and stuff. Now I see why they told us, stand down. We got everything we need. We don't need you doing no searches. You can pass out some flyers, but we got everything we
Absolutely.
need.
Absolutely. They
Because
sure
we
did.
gave them a lot of information, but we were like hounding them. And they was like, oh, just look, you gave us the information. We following it. Just stand down. Don't go out here in these houses looking. Don't go out here accusing people and knocking on doors and all that stuff. Just stand down. We got everything we need. We just need some time to put it
To put
together.
it together. They
It
surely
takes
did.
time to get subpoenas for text messages. It takes time to get subpoenas from the phone companies. It takes time to run DNA samples and stuff like that. It takes time.
Absolutely.
We
Absolutely.
knew they told us this before the 14th.
Sure did.
We got the information when it was transferred. We talked to Detroit Public School Police the Friday after the Ziyah went missing, because we didn't find out until Thursday night. She went missing on a Tuesday. We found out on Facebook post on a Thursday night. We called Friday morning
Sure did.
and told them everything that we knew and what could have possibly happened, because originally we thought she had ran away. But just to see all of it unfold was a little bit of a relief, because I've been preaching this for a long time and no one would listen. No one believed me. Or they would say, oh, the kids are not denying it. We're not seeing it. The family over there was saying, oh, she lying. She not telling the truth. I don't know why she would make that up about him. I don't know what she got against him and my mama, but she lying. Just my truth to come out.
Yeah.
Because
And
they
and
were lying from the beginning. I was pretty much told that a lot of the things that we told them that first couple weeks is what they would have never looked. Annette would have kept on saying she ran away. She would have never
absolutely.
said that she was missing. As a matter of fact, Detective Gardner told me when the grandmother said she missing. I said, no, she lying. She ain't missing. That girl won't be gone for no 3 weeks and ain't contact nobody for no money, not on the social media. But just to see it all put together. And that judge, she saw through all the BS. She saw all the lies and the neglect that we've been trying to tell them was going on. She saw all of it.
She
It's just
sure did.
unfortunate it took for Ziyah to be the reason why all this shit came out when we've been telling people for years. This ain't nothing that just happened in February. This been happening for years, and we've been going through it, arguing back and forth with Shannon, arguing back and forth with the different police people we came in contact with, calling CPS, trying to get the kids. So it's a little bit of a release. I can say that a little bit of the weight is off of my shoulders, but we still got a long way to go because I want to know where her body is, and I believe they need to go ask Shannon. Absolutely. Because she know everything that he do. If out of all the women that he been with, she the one who keep up with him the
most. Great. Oh my God. Let me, there was a question here and that the audience wants me to pose to you guys. Oh Lord, did I lose it that quickly? Will you ask the guests, what did they think? Oh, okay. The audience's member is asking, Law05 asks, what did you all think about Jarvis' sister's testimony? And I want both of you to answer.
Okay. Tijuana, thank you for doing the right thing. I know it was very difficult for you to have to do that. And I don't think it was because it was your brother. I think it was more so that you felt like, damn, I saw her. And if I had just took a little bit of extra step, maybe I could have prevented all this. But I really appreciate her testimony. I could tell that it was very difficult for her.
Yeah, she cried the whole,
Yeah, and I could tell that she was kind of silenced in a way too, where she couldn't really say what she wanted to say. But I don't know why that was, or what the
prosecutor. They probably want her to save some of that information for trial.
For trial or something like that. But I really appreciate that she do that. Jarvis's family had already reached out to me when he was charged, because I am actually a good friend with one of his cousins. And she reached out to me and told me that they was behind us 100% and they supported us and they didn't want no association with him and they were supporting us. And I just really appreciate that. Right. She said it, like it was a difficult situation. Like, dang, that's my friend, but this is my cousin. She hadn't really said much to me. But when she came, she explained herself and told me that Jarvis' sister was had made some reports to the police and she couldn't talk about a lot of them. I listened to her or whatever, but it was greatly appreciated. I just, like I've been telling people for the longest, it's not only is Ziyah family hurting, but his family is hurting because that's got to be devastating to find out your family member, your son, your brother, his other children, to find out your father can do something like this. So that's how I feel about her testimony.
Okay, Kewana.
I'm gonna let it. I'm gonna let her. I think she did a very good job. I appreciate her testimony. I have a few mixed feelings, but I do respect that she got up there and she expressed what she needed to and spoke against her brother. We needed her to do that and she did that. So I absolutely appreciate that,
Right.
And so I'm gonna just leave it there for now,
okay. All right. I wanted to, I definitely wanted to ask about that. Is it, so I'm going to ask again, there was a situation in the courtroom the other day. Can we talk about that or briefly?
Briefly, because it wasn't us who did it. So, but no. Are you talking about the child's testimony or?
Yeah, at that time, what happened?
Yeah, there's an article about that.
Okay, great. If we can talk about that really quick.
Articles out about basically what the child has said.
But we don't. But I don't mean talk about the child's testimony as opposed to
what happened after
an altercation.
Yeah. The altercation that happened after the child testified.
Wait, let me stop you one more time, Jenell.
Okay.
Because I want to preface this. I want to make sure I preface this with the audience. so they know what's going on. Those of you that were live streaming with us or any other wherever else all week long know that, you know, we would have to wait sometimes for the court cameras to come on. And on Tuesday, was it Tuesday?
I think it was
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
On
It's the second day,
Tuesday,
the third day.
yeah, there from our end, those of us who work directly in the courtroom, we're waiting on the cameras to come on. They had taken a lunch break, so we came back and waited on them. So we waited or whatever. And then finally, after their lunch break, they turned the cameras back on. Well, when they did, Judge Sabri, which is her
Was
name,
in her
Judge
chambers.
Sabri, yeah, said, we have I think it's called a something 5 testimony, but whatever the legal term is, it's indicative of a child testimony. So she asked everybody to turn their cameras off. So we, you know, of course they shut us down, and I guess whoever was there recording had to turn off. So when we came back from that, finally, because someone in the comments said, how long is this going to take? And I said, you know, this is really strange, because with children, they don't try to keep children on the stand too long because it's traumatic for them. And then you got to think about a child sitting there looking at the defendant, especially if they're testifying against them and all of that. I said, so I don't understand what's taking so long, because they don't usually keep children on the stand this long. And then finally, the cameras came back on. I said, oh, here we go. And okay, do a few seconds go by, and bloop, just abruptly it goes off again. So I want you to start from there.
The information was actually given to Kewana. I don't know if you want to tell what actually happened, Kewana, or you want me to tell it.
I'll tell it. You know, upon her testimony, her father was upset, you know, like any father would be. And him listening to his daughter, you know, say the things that she said, and not just the fact that he did the things that he did to Ziyah and to another family member, but he tried to do it to his daughter. He was vivid. He was upset, and they had to escort him out of the courtroom because he he did exactly what any parent would do.
He did exactly what somebody should have did a long time ago. And I commend him from that. Me and him have not always saw eye to eye, but I commend him from that. Because that was real, like.
I don't think that the audience knows what happened, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Basically, he tried to get him. He tried to get Jarvis, and they had to send them in there to get him away from Jarvis. Jarvis and his attorneys had to go back in that little holding room with Jarvis. The judge went in her chambers. Everybody was crying.
Yeah.
People had to duck and dodge because he was about to handle the business, and he said he basically didn't care about what was going on.
Yeah.
He didn't. He do not play about his daughter.
No.
But I can tell you guys, in watching the live stream today, Jarvis Butts was limping and had bruises.
Oh, he been limping.
Not like that.
Limping, but he did have those bruises. Somebody clapped him up every time he go to court. Since that arraignment, he get knocked up a little bit.
That's what I said too. Yeah, he.
That's why he
was a little beat up the other day. He was pulling that mask up higher and higher. If it go any higher, it's gonna be on his forehead.
Right.
So and I had to ask. I said, the inmates allowed to have TV, so you know they watching.
Oh yeah.
Sure is.
Oh, they know.
Oh yeah. They FaceTime and everything else in prison now.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So they got access. They probably got people who on this live then called in there and told their family members that's in there, hey, his name is.
Oh yeah. Sure did.
Yeah. So
he's not in he's in a jeopardizing situation right now. He not going to sleep.
No, I wouldn't. I would just confess and tell everything. Cause they gonna stay on him until he do.
Around, guys. He doesn't look remorseful to me
at all.
No. At all.
When So today they was asking, somebody yelled out, tell us where she at.
Yeah.
And he just kept walking. He ain't flinching nothing. But what got me was it was something in the comments the other day about the judge was like, is he crying? I was like,
He did try to cry. He tried to cry. He tried to cry because he know when he get back to that cell, he gonna get beat up again.
That was right after that DNA reading. And he was going in the back because they was going to lunch. And she was like, is he crying?
But I mean, here's the thing, because, and again, I'll refer to the comments. I have gotten so many comments like, why was this guy still walking the streets? Why was it, because it just don't make sense. I mean, he's just going around, messing up all of these young girls and affecting their lives and whatever to the families and all of that. And it's a genuine question. You don't, of course, advocate for stuff like that, for violence or whatever, but in somewhere down the line, Jarvis Butts was never dealt with properly.
Absolutely.
Because he has not had a reason to even attempt to change his behavior. When you all were talking earlier and said when he got out of prison for the first charge, I would almost bet money that he came home and resumed his normal activities of abusing children, because it is very, very hard to rehabilitate a pedophile. Let me tell y'all, I'm talking to the audience now. It is zero to slim to none that you're going to rehabilitate a child sexual offender. Ladies, don't bring these jokers home over your children. You cannot do it. Even if you want to say, oh, well, he did his time, and who am I to judge? And listen, let me tell you something. That is a sickness that is literally almost, you literally almost cannot ever recover from. Recovery is a part of addiction, any addiction. Drugs, some people are addicted to sex, some people are addicted to food. Whatever the addiction is, relapse, is a part of recovery. So if a sex offender relapse, guess what? They go back to raping, abusing children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to make that point very quickly. Now, let's get to, so we can wrap up, because we got a couple more things to do. I want to talk about cousin Roxy. I want to go there. We got a late start and we didn't cover everything, and maybe we'll get a chance to do this again. I want to talk about cousin Roxy. A lot of comments were in this week while we were watching, or while we were streaming the preliminary hearings about cousin Roxy. Cousin Roxy has been, and I'm calling her cousin Roxy. She has been the visible face, so to speak, of this Ziyah situation. And I heard a lot of things. Roxy is the reason why this has gotten national attention. Roxy is the one who brought all of this together and did this and did the other. And that was one of the things that I wanted to kind of put forth and make sure that other people in the family love this child. I mean, really love this child. Regardless of what was going on in that particular unit in that home, this family didn't just neglect and abandon Ziyah. The people in the family does not agree with how Ziyah was being raised, what Ziyah was being exposed to, or the other children. So when we make blanketed statements like that to say that family XYZ, well, you're talking about a whole lot of people besides those few, So I want to get to this, and I want to make sure that we cover it, because there was a lot of things that was going on, and at some point there was a rift. I think that people, well, I think that am I correct in that it started maybe around the time of the when they started organizing the searches for Naziah? Is that what happened?
Um, it was like towards like maybe close to when right before he was charged or so, or maybe a little after. I would have to look at my messages to see. Um, but
Okay.
basically, all this stuff got started, like I said, in 2022. Unfortunately, my efforts did not do anything. Other family members who were involved efforts did not do anything at that time. We got, like I said, that we had a little action where they made her move from the one guy, but it did not work. Unfortunately, I thought reporting to CPS, they gonna figure it out. CPS, the police gonna get involved. But anyways, how all this stuff started most recently once Naziah went missing was basically Kewana and I talking to Detective Gardner at the Detroit Public Schools Police Department, hounding her pretty much to the point I think she got a little bit aggravated with me, and I got aggravated right back with her, saying so did Kewana. And then they finally started all these searches and this, that, and the other. Someone, well, myself and my family ended up talking to Mark D, and it went social media viral. I guess Roxy befriended Mark D. I've been knowing Mark D since 9th grade. He's done business with some of my family members. We went to high school together for a couple years. So I've been knowing him for a long time, since we was kids. So my family member had did some business with them, and so they knew who he was. So we talked to Mark. It went social media viral. Roxy, I'm not sure when, but I know like sometime in November she was supposed to be moving back to Michigan or whatever. But she was here during all that stuff with Mark. And she ended up befriending Mark, and they became close and collaborated or whatever. So, and Roxy just had her own efforts of going, despite the police telling us to stand down or whatever, because they had everything they needed. She had her own efforts, which we were okay with passing out the flyers because the police had told us to stand down. They had everything that they need from the information that we had gave them. So we did that. We continued to post. We continued to pass out flyers. Well, fast forward during all the searches that they did, they're, getting Naziah's name out there, we started receiving death threats and scam artists and psychics and lies, and then people calling us, beware, don't listen to her because she's a scam artist. And someone actually vandalized my house because a lot of Roxy followers believe that we didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not true. A lot of people did a lot of different things in their own way. So, and that was kind of, devastating. I'm receiving death threats that, my house is being vandalized. My job is being called. Somebody called my job asking for me, trying to get in contact with me and my supervisor. Then the security officer had to come and talk to me, and they didn't put up a thing. If anybody, basically they had to secure me to make sure no one came up to the job looking for me. That was crazy. That was the rift when we all was supposed to be working together in efforts of getting Naziah's name out there, finding Naziah, working with the police with Naziah. And it was a few other things, but that was the main rift that had happened with all that internet stuff. Roxy made some posts on social media about us, but it's real messed up, and it's some other things. Kewana, I don't know if you have anything you want to say.
I do actually. I have a lot I want to say on that subject. So again, like she said, For the people that's questioned who else cared, we've been there since 2022. We were making calls. We were trying to gain custody. They were denying us of doing the proper investigations because they needed a child to say that they were being abused. The calls continued to go out to CPS. We did not stop. We were still moving, trying to get help. We were still reaching out to workers. We were calling, uh, attorneys and so on. Fast forward, uh, again, like she stated, Roxy was supposed to, and we're planning to move here in November. When the big brother ran away, I'm not going to say his name, in September of 22, a whole lot of Facebook stuff took place. That was a result of me reaching out to to Rosalind's mother, which is my older cousin, just to say, hey, I need somebody to talk to. We had begun to talk regularly. Despite the family telling me not to deal with her for various amounts of things or whatever they had going on, I said, you know what? Well, we continued to converse. That day I said, hey, this is happening. She said, you know what? I'm going to call you back. I want to make this call to Annette because they talk regularly. She did that. Once she got off the phone with my aunt Annette, her daughters attacked her. My aunt Annette daughters attacked Rosalind's mother on the internet, which is Facebook. The attacks continue to come, and that's when she posts about what was going in the home and what was going on inside the home. Um, Fast forward, a bunch of drama, continued to happen as far as, like she said, us being spoke about on social media. I felt like that was very, you know, that was messed up because, like she stated, we're supposed to be family. We started this. We've been doing this. We didn't just start when the Ziyah came up missing. And I put out that abuse was going on. The facts are out. Okay, the receipts are there. It was posted on Facebook. The abuse that was happening in the home. That was in September. It was put out by Roz's mother. What was going on in September in the house. That being said, everybody knew. Okay,
Mm.
if you follow Facebook, I at the time didn't have a Facebook. I'm gonna be real clear. And so I was getting all my information about what's going on Facebook from other people. But those that know, there was a multiple arguments. And I would just say it was messed up that she did that to us because at the time that we were standing our ground against that household, she was still in contact with Shannon. Okay, it got to a point where she was threatening us on the internet, or threatening Jenell on the internet to come and kick her ass and whoever's lying on her
It
cousin.
wasn't me particularly. She said anybody who lied on my cousin,
Anybody who
but
lying on my
I
cousin
guess
about her
I
baby
was the
daddy being
liar
a
at that time.
pedophile, I'm coming to kick their ass. Listen, we were really dealing with this in real time. Okay, so fast forward, her agenda versus our agenda. Everybody had their reasoning for wanting to. Our reason solely was because we love not just Naziah but all those children in the house. We were very active in their lives up until the point where I found out about the abuse. She found out the abuse, and they cut us off from being able to come get the children. We were at birthdays, holidays, you name it. Okay, so I don't know how things happened the way they did. I don't know why she would do the things that she would do. You know, I brought them into the equation as far as letting her mom know what was going on. So again, like she said, it was just messed up to say the things that were said about us on social media. There was lies put out there, you know, and it wasn't right. It
And
was
put
very
our
wrong.
families in jeopardy, our
And
professions in jeopardy.
and let me say this. Let me say this. The reason why I wasn't doing the things that they wanted me to do or she wanted me to do, because we already had the investigators letting us know we got everything we need. All we need y'all to do is not compromise the case and stay out of the way. Anything that y'all do outside of that
Mhm.
is jeopardizing the case. The things that they see coming out in court now, that's hanging him. They already had that from the beginning. The phone calls, the telephone calls, the phone numbers that they were given, we gave them. We said when it was with Detroit Public School Police, they were shedding rewind, shedding in my eye. They weren't giving them the tablets and phones and so on. We were pressing the Detroit Public School Police and saying, "Oh no, she's got this tablet, she got this social media. Oh, that's not the only phone, honey. They took that phone. That phone was taken around this time. She had a phone that her mother gave her. Y'all got to go into those records and see what was going on." Okay. So we
Mm.
never stopped being active as far as fighting for not just Ziyah, but all the children. All the children.
And I'm really
And again,
shocked
it was
about the
supposed to have been a
school.
shared effort. It was supposed to have
Mm.
been a shared effort, and they just and things just went to a
It just
whole
went
nother.
left for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
And schools are mandated reporters, so I mean, it's not like they have to prove it. Once you tell a school, any school from 0 to 12th, and even college, once you tell them that there's some abuse taking place, they are mandated reporters, and that's why I
that's right.
guess they search. They can't come back and tell you what they're doing. We can't.
That's
I'm
right.
a mandated reporter. I have to report anything that goes on that don't look right, or that's not right, or that a child tells me, or another family member tell me, or whatever. But I can't come back and tell. I can tell the officers or child protective service, but I can't come back and give you any information. So I
About
That's
yeah,
think
right.
that's what some things got lost in the loop.
And
yeah.
may I add this before we move on? I was very upset. And again, my appreciation goes out for the word getting put out there. Everybody had their own efforts, but I was very upset and displeased when the children's faces was put on social media. They're
Mm.
minors, okay? They're minors. They suffered being bullied. Uh, there was jail time given up for having to defend the bullying. Um, you know, the older cousin that was very close to Naziah suffering. They were bullying her. Your daddy this, your daddy that. You got to be
The
real careful.
cousins going to school and trying to go to colleges. Can you imagine in
Oh
school you
yeah,
being harassed by other kids because somebody in your family is going through this, and then you
that's
trying to
right.
transition into college, and then you being recognized there,
That's right.
like naming their names.
Mm, 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 mm.
And we didn't agree with a lot of that. We was trying to keep the other children. No one knew their names or who they, like who they were. Only people only knew who
Mm.
Ziyah was, but it was just a
Right.
lot of mess, and it's just unfortunate because that's not the route that we wanted to take.
Not at all.
And, and I got tough skin. What other people's uh do usually don't bother me, but when it started to bother me, when it started to jeopardize my job, I'm a nurse,
That's right. And
Mm-hmm.
and you
children
calling my job.
and people coming to
Mm-hmm.
your house and people
And
throwing threats.
I
You
done had to
know,
call the Macomb County Sheriff to my house because somebody broke the lock to my front door and
Mm.
mine too. I got the pictures to show it.
and did something to
Absolutely.
my Ring camera too. So is that's troubling. Like just allowing the perception that we were involved. Like for a long time, I was mistaken. They thought I was Auntie Shannon. So I realized, oh, they mistaken me because I'm saying I'm her aunt. They're
Mm-hmm.
mistaking me for Shannon. Get that. But to have some people who you supposed to be working with to basically put things out in a social media that, I mean, I'm not gonna say they weren't true, but that they didn't agree with, and then have other people jump on the bandwagon of attacking you. That's just like that's just kind of pretty. It was a
This Jarvis
distraction.
guy has really disrupted you guys' life.
Oh
Let's
yes,
just
absolutely.
put
Absolutely.
it where it goes. This
Yeah.
Jarvis guy, for years and years and years, have just disrupted the whole family and the community.
Absolutely.
It's not you guys. It's not Isaiah. It's this Jarvis guy got out of prison. We tried to help him in a place where should have been rehabilitated, but he came out and did the same thing and just did more harm, just did more and more harm. All of this is him. Like the judge called him today, a monster.
A monster.
He's a monster.
He is.
And he needs to go back and not return.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. This whole thing has been devastating for us. And I mean, like, the most devastating, of course, is Ziyah. But the next thing will be the fact that we don't have a relationship with the children. Like,
absolutely.
Shannon's oldest daughter, her and Shannon lived with me for about 2 years.
Wow.
Like I told you, me and Shannon was thick as thieves. She lived with me for 2 years. Her oldest daughter called me Auntie Mommy.
Wow.
Like, my kids miss them. Like, my son is 22 years old now, and he like, what? Like, I had to have a conversation with them about, like, you know, when you was kids and Shannon was living with me, did he ever come over? Yeah, he came over, but he never came past the front door. You know, it was only 15 minutes. But just to hear all this stuff on social media, he pissed. Like, I wish I had to pay more attention. But then again, he couldn't pay more attention because I knew that he was a sex offender, and I kind of kept my kids from over there. They would be invited to birthday parties. They didn't come. Because I couldn't.
Right.
I wasn't leaving my kids over there.
No, never.
No, so it was like I would call the kids, tell them happy birthday, maybe get them something to eat, or we'll swing by as a family, do ice cream and cake, say hello, keep on going, or we just didn't go because I just couldn't trust that.
I don't know a woman. I don't know if you guys do, Deborah, Kewana, Jenell. I don't know a woman that if a man spent that many years in prison for rape, I'm just going to say it like it is, for raping children, would allow them to come into her home and be around her children. I don't understand that part. I don't care. My husband is nice looking. I'm sure you guys have nice looking husbands. But if he raped somebody, or I thought he raped somebody, you can't be with me. You can't be around me.
No, absolutely not.
I don't care. The looks has nothing to do with it. It's your actions.
Nope.
I mean, I don't understand how somebody help me. You let somebody sleep in your house like that.
Yeah.
Low
self-esteem. Yeah.
I used to always talk to her like, why is you staying with him? And one time she told me, you don't understand. That's my children's father. I'm like, girl, he everybody's daddy. He got babies between your babies.
No,
I gave her a baby shower. He was supposed to come and so-called help. He was so busy trying to rush up out of there to go to another girl who was having a baby. Like, and I was like, you don't deserve this. These kids deserve better. You could do better.
Yeah.
That's my kid's daddy. I said,
and they're not going to have any Social Security.
Nothing, because he ain't never had no real job.
Yeah. That's the whole thing. I think that we need to point out too. And it's a couple things because there's a question that someone asked about Roxy. I want to direct it to Kewana. But here's something that we need to think about on social media, audience and everyone that is watching us that's under the sound of our voices, is that be careful. You know, people become emotional and things like that. I've had to more or less break up fights in the comment section because people start going at each other's throat and this and that and the other. But you can't get to a point where, you know, you want to take it to real life. These are, you know, people are real people and things like that. We forget the fact, and I have to admit, I rarely even think about it. With a person like a Jarvis Butts, that's such a monster. I can't think of another word off the top of my head. Even with a monster like Jarvis Butts, he has children, innocent children, right? That number one are probably being abused themselves because it doesn't sound like this guy discriminates. And then number two, that have to go to school, interact in their communities and all of that kind of stuff. We can't be, we have to learn how to manage our emotions and all of that stuff. Nobody should be coming home with their car vandalized and all. This is ridiculous.
That's
You
right.
know, and this is why it's important that the world starts to see these two ladies, because it more, because it's not like they weren't, because they were there from day one. I saw it in the comments earlier. These two have been there since 10 toes down since day one. I think I put it on the screen.
Mhm.
So somebody out there remembers y'all, and y'all
Mhm.
backed away from media exposure. Yeah, go
I
ahead, Janelle.
think that's what it is. Like, I never wanted my name in lights. I
Yeah,
wanted Ziyah's name in lights. I'm a
sure
quiet
did.
person, and because of the job that I have, I work with people who are not guilty by reason of insanity that are out in the community. So I can't have my name out there like on social media everywhere. I chose to do this to
Absolutely.
clear it up.
That's right.
I've been quiet and been working behind the scenes. And maybe I would have did things differently if I hadn't been told from day one, stand down. Thank you for the information. We got everything we need.
Mm.
That's right. That's right. And if you recall, our first interview, we had our faces blotted out and our voices disguised. We
Because
never
they
wanted.
recommended it to us for our
Yeah, they
protection
sure
because we
did.
didn't know what we was dealing with. We didn't know
Yeah,
what was going on. We was down at the
absolutely.
police in the meetings with the police chief. We
Sure
was down there
was.
with the council, the community council for Detroit. We was talking to the police commissioner was by our
Yep,
side
sure
pretty much
was.
every day, on the phone with us almost every single day. Um,
The organized searches.
Yep, or give us flyers, talk to us, keep us in the loop about things, express our concerns and stuff like that. We talked to the head detectives a few days after the 14th when everything became televised. They found out about Clinton Township from me.
Sure
They didn't
did.
they didn't even know that she lived in Clinton Township.
Yeah,
So that's the reason why we was quiet, because they told us, pass out flyers, keep her name out there. We remaining hopeful, but this is a recovery effort.
yeah, sure
Mm.
did. And we knew
So
that. Yes, absolutely. And I made it clear. I made that clear that that's what they said.
who go looking for bodies in the water? Go look and do that big of a search the day after announcement in some water. We already knew what it was. They had already explained that what was most likely was going to be the scenario.
Sure did.
So why would we go in abandoned houses and following leads from other social media representatives, falsifying information, go talking, accusing other people and defaming other people's characters who trying to defend themselves against these allegations and different things like that? Why would we go and do that? So people really got mad at us because we wasn't out there doing a lot of that. But that just was my choice not to do that. And who am I to tell the other person who was doing it not to do it? So
Right.
but that was just real hurtful that it ended up like that. And then to the point where the sheriff is driving past my house every single night to
That's
make
right.
sure that nobody else vandalized anything or try to break. They broke the lock on my front door and broke my Ring camera.
Yeah.
Mm.
And guess what? Days after that, our lock was off the front door. I have the pictures to show. Sure
Yeah.
was. So at
Yeah.
that point, we were
And death
like,
threats.
"Oh
I
no,
still got the death threats. I got the death threats in my thing. I get so many messages from people like
yeah,
saying off the wall stuff.
this craziness." And and what's crazy to me is, for the judgmental people, I have seen half of them come out. It's easy to sit behind your TV screen or your phone and pass judgment when you're not out doing anything about it. They didn't come out. They
I
weren't
can
at
say it's a
those
hint.
meetings with us with the police chief and
Yep.
the organized searches and so on. They
I
were
can say
behind
it's
their
a
phone screens with
handful.
their wine and their popcorn.
It's a handful of people who have actually went out and did, well, I
And
can't
it
say for like
is.
the search efforts when they was going to the house, because I didn't go to any of that. But as far as the protests that we did and things like that, 5 to 7 people, they know who you are. Thank you.
Yeah.
because they've been here since day one. Day one.
Was.
But as far the people who was doing all that stuff, I ain't never seen those people.
Well, did Jarvis live in Clinton Township or River Rouge area?
Deborah asked me that Jarvis' papa was a Rolling Stone. Wherever he laid his hat was his home.
It was his home.
He went from one girl house to the other house, to the Shannon house, to the Annette house, to the hotel, to the shop, to the. He slept wherever.
I heard the double lives, honey, but he lived quadruple. He had everything down pat. He would be in one lady house at this time, from that time, 2 a.m. Boom, he done left there because she got to.
That's what I said. I said, oh, the one. She said he leave at 2 o'clock. I said, oh, the other girl must work at Chrysler because they get off at 3 a.m. So he had to get home before she woke up. Then he get up and go and take the kids to school for Shannon. Then go to work and recruit more women while he was at the shop because he met most of them at the shop. Then go wherever he was going in the afternoon. So I don't know where that man lived at.
Listen, the judge said today when she was giving her ruling, she said, at first, I thought you had a mental disability because it was like you had the mind of a 10-year-old. Did y'all hear her when she said that today? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I can't think of any other word for Jarvis, but scumbag, literal, just awful. But somebody asked a question. Pam Esquire, she's an attorney and fellow YouTuber. She was asking, was Jarvis on the sex registry, and why was he being allowed to be around children? You might have left out and came back in, Pam. There was at some point after he did his prison time that he was not on. Somehow he did not get on the sex registry. Correct?
Yeah.
Right, but eventually, through a series of happenings, he did properly get placed on the sex registry and has been on ever since. And of course, we know.
But his last report date was 2019.
Yeah, he hasn't reported for that since. So the thing, even the police. That's why I said it's a big systemic failure because they should have been looking for him.
They should have picked him up. He was not what do you call him?
He had multiple arrests between that time.
Yeah.
This is second gun charge since he's been released from prison.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it because he's cute?
Cute.
I mean, I don't understand what's happening. He
slipped through the
cracks. He got a gift of gab.
Yeah. I haven't seen.
You see how he tried to talk his way out of everything. He got the gift of gab, and he's slick, and he know how. You see how he sit in that courtroom and stay under the radar. Quiet as a mouse.
But can I ask a question? Why he got all these women with a mask on?
Oh, he don't either. I assumed at first he didn't want nobody to see his face, but now I'm thinking it's because he got bruises.
Yeah, it's because he done got beat up so bad and that lip busted and his teeth knocked out. Because there's no way he can go with all these thousands of people and be scared of germs. Go ahead on. You in jail with 10 or 15 people.
Right. I'm happy she made him stand up at the end, but I wish the attorneys had sit down.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Say it again.
I saw the bruises on the side of his face, on the eyes and all that. But I'm gonna say he did it to himself because I don't blame nobody. I don't believe nobody in that jail cell did that.
And to all the inmates that's tuned in, and if they run across this, thank you. Keep it going.
Go viral. Go viral.
He need to suffer every single day for the rest of his life, and hopefully
he will.
Some of that suffering to bring him to tell us where she is, because that's my main goal now.
Children. He's a danger to all of our children.
Society. Yeah. All the way around. Because women ain't safe around them either, especially if they have young daughters.
And I don't think a lot of people know, like everybody know these charges for Ziyah, but there are 8 other children, 8 other cases. One of the
he's not through going to court.
Oh no, he go to court on the 16th to be bonded over for Ziyah. Then it's another trial starting on the 17th for the sexual molestation of another child under the age of 13. It's multiple.
Oh, you know what? I did.
Yeah. What's that?
All these charges are not just Ziyah. There are other children
You're right.
Dating back to 2015, who families have came forward, or they are adults now and they came forward, or they're teenagers and came forward and said he did the same
Oh,
thing.
he's another one of those. What's that doctor name that went to jail for molesting all them? The sports person.
Oh yeah, the
Oh,
Michigan
up
State
there,
or something,
Michigan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
film or
he
something
in
like
that
that.
category.
yeah.
Same category.
But you know, and then even in this case, he's got charges for two other girls, underage, whatever, criminal sexual conduct, combined into Naziah's case. I think a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
people don't know
yeah,
that either.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then my
Oh,
So
so a
he's
friend,
gonna
I
get
haven't
life.
had the time to look because I've been focusing
yeah.
on the preliminary, but somebody told me it was some additional charges put on him on Tuesday. So I
I
haven't
heard the
looked.
one today. I
They
heard
said
the
there was some
upgrade
additional
today.
charges on Tuesday, so
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know
I'll
what
look it
that
up.
was
I'll
about.
look it up.
I know
But
a temp charge was put on him with the little girl that testified. That
Yeah,
was
I
an
think that's what
attempt.
it was. After her testimony, they
After
lowered
her
more charges
testimony, it
at
was an
him
attempt.
they
Uh-huh.
because
charged
it
him.
was
Oh, they
attempt.
added a charge for
With
that.
a intent
Yup.
to do sexual
Oh
And he
attempt.
made
wow!
them watch. He made other children
And
watch
the other,
while
You know what? That boy need to go on somewhere. Where his who is he? That's
yeah,
no one's asked who is this person.
yeah.
Everybody's out after an innocent family, and I know, and I thank God for Tawana. I think that was her name coming forth, and that had to be hard because I love my brothers with all my heart. I love
yeah,
my brothers, but I'm
that
not going
had
to
to be
stand
hard.
behind wrong.
Yeah,
And I admire her for doing that. But if his family has got to be hurting because this is insane.
yeah,
Brother, what did we do? What happened to you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's where
Something,
my mind would
something
go.
happened
Brother,
to him.
what
Yep.
did somebody do to you? Did we
Hurt
Yeah,
not
people,
get you the
hurt
proper
people.
help at the proper time? It's something else going on.
yeah.
Yep, hurt
Yeah,
people, hurt people.
it's a lot. It's a lot. I think we're gonna find out as the time goes on. It's gonna be more and more. This thing is so it's mind boggling type of insane. Like it's just
Insane.
you couldn't make it up. That you wouldn't believe it
Mm-mm.
if they made a movie out
Mm-mm.
of it.
Mm.
So, but I want to go ahead and get ready to wrap up. I want to ask Kiana and Jenell, let's do this again.
Yes.
Because this case is going to keep going on, and I think that we need to continue a pattern of educating the public and stamping out misinformation and things like that. We'll make decisions about it. We'll touch base and all of that. But I want to, hopefully you guys will come back so
And
that
I
we
would
can,
definitely be
yeah,
willing.
so that we can keep this going. And I think it would help a lot of things. And like I said, the misinformation, and I saw a lot of things today. Somebody thought that the family had put it out that Shannon and her mother had put it out that was trying to say that Jarvis was autistic. And I knew it was a situation with an autistic person as it
There's
relates to
another
Naziah.
individual.
Yeah.
But but this is what happened when these little stories get out. It gets so twisted, and it is not even close to the truth anymore by the time it circles back around. So, but I want to close out. And one of the things that I want to do, I always like to do when I do these live broadcasts, interviews, things like that, is to give out resources. Kewana said something very dear to my heart. Y'all excuse me. This case, I have to say, this is the only case that I never know when I'm gonna bust out crying. I'm not getting
Yeah,
ready to cry.
it's
But it's
hard.
like this is a tough one. This is a tough one. But Kiwana said something to me earlier today that I think is the most important thing as it stands right now, and that is to get to some solutions.
Absolutely.
And I think that the way that we do that is a part of the way that we do that is to be able to give people resources and things like that. And I want to direct the audience to the community wall on the channel. on Community Advocate Network. I do post, if you're in Michigan, especially if you're in the state of Michigan, where we are. I try to give resources for various things to help people, because some of these situations is just like there is a very excellent program called Covenant House here in Detroit. They have 2 locations, I believe, in Detroit and in Grand Rapids. I believe they take teens up to 24 years old. There are teen homelessness is like much bigger than what I realized. So, and there's a couple of other resources that Ms. Lori Clark Horton has provided for the network. And I have them all posted on the community wall. It's been a minute, so you're going to have to scroll a little bit, or I'll repost them again. But it's very important that you guys find out what is out there and what is available um, uh, for various situations. I don't care if you need help getting your light bill paid or whatever. But in this case, we want to start finding ways in improving ourselves as a community to protect our children. This thing, this insanity, as Lori called it, has to stop.
That's right.
Jarvis Butts cannot operate in our community. It's got to stop. Okay. So we're going to talk some more. I'm not going to preach tonight, y'all. I'm not going to preach tonight. But Kewana shared with me something extremely important that she is trying to work on, and I'm going to close out with this with a nonprofit organization in honor of Ziyah Harris. And I would like for, if you don't mind, Kewana sharing that with the audience.
Absolutely. I'm working on some projects now to honor Nazaya. Um, all proceeds will go towards helping uh, young women that has been in abusive and sexually abusive situations. And there's more to come with that. I will come back and disclose all information. It's being built up now. And so stay tuned, because I'm coming. We're coming.
Amen to
Amen.
that.
Amen.
Amen to that. So I think, you know what? I almost forgot one last thing. Because I did find a GoFundMe account on Facebook. So can you all tell us about the GoFundMe?
We
Or
didn't start a
that
GoFundMe account at
uh,
all. Actually, we felt it was premature for a GoFundMe. What do we need a
Yes.
GoFundMe account for? Originally, when we discussed the GoFundMe, we said the money would go towards a reward for more information or the conviction or something like that for Nazaya. We never can get it worked out with Crime Stoppers and everything, so that's where it went pause.
Right.
I guess the GoFundMe is supposed to be for a funeral or memorial for Nazaya. I personally think it's premature. We haven't even got the conviction.
That's right.
So in cases like these, when the police asked us about it, we told them that we were not associated with the GoFundMe. They said because in situations like this, when children are killed or murdered or whatever, the police have funds for that.
Absolutely.
And not only that, community advocates, different funeral homes, floral shops, they all come together and fund it. So no, I am not, and Kewana, I'm
I
sure
am
you will
not.
say the same. We are not
Absolutely not.
associated with a GoFundMe account. Although the evidence is out there and everything, we just feel like, for what? It just, unless it's gonna help find her body or get more information for them to put the clues together to find her body.
That's right.
We're going to pray that he tells the family and the community where their body is. Because
Yes.
he's spending too much time in prison. He's going to be in prison the rest of his life. There's nothing to lose.
Yeah, even if he don't get convicted of the murder, you 42, 25 years onto that. And then if you get convicted of any of these other sex crimes against children, those are additional 25 years. So you're not getting out regardless. So take the murder charge and tell us where she at. Take the plea deal or whatever, tell us where she at.
But unfortunately, Jenell, we've had cases like this before. One that was very dear to my heart. The guy got almost 80 years. If he did, I think he got 80 years, and he still won't tell. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's going to add. That's
like
going to just let them hear that word life.
Yep.
And that's what they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
They can hear 80 years, but they don't want to hear life.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
It takes away their sense of hope.
Right.
Yep, I get that. Yep. So hopefully, if to end it, I guess if anybody has any information to fill these holes or want to come forward and start telling the truth, this is the time. This is your opportunity. People been lying on the like the judge say on perjuring themselves in my courtroom. Start telling the truth so we can at least find this girl body.
That's right.
And put her to rest.
I will certainly be praying for you guys, for your families. I will be definitely praying that God come into play and he will make a difference. Trust me. He's going to fix it. It's going to be fixed.
Yeah, that's what I did. I've been, first in the beginning, I have a bad habit of working instead of praying. And after man failed me so many times, I have no choice to put it in God's hands.
Amen.
Yes, I agree with that. I second that. I have, you know what? If I haven't learned to do anything here lately, it's to pray. We all fall short of the glory. Sometimes we fall off of our belief and faith when things happen. But you know what? You got to hold on to something. And so I'm holding on to that. And yes, I've been in prayer regularly lately, and that's something I had stopped doing. Again, as she said, when man fail you, sometimes you throw your hands up. And so I've been throwing my hands up, but in it from a different light, and that's to pray and just you know ooh, yes.
It's gonna be all right.
All right. So, I definitely think that we got off on a bad start tonight, everybody. Those of you that are here with us, we were just having the technical difficulties like crazy. Everything was going wrong tonight. And so we got a late start, and I'm just kind of thrown off. I was trying to have everything organized, but we got through it. And I hope that this at least gives you guys a smidgen of in the process of healing. Because Ziyah is a victim to us, but she's your family. And so I was very, very wanting to be very sensitive to this situation with you ladies coming here today. And so I hope that we accomplished that. I hope that you got to share some things that you needed to, and if not, I hope you'll come back.
Oh, we will.
And
We'll be back.
To be able to give the public is concerned about Ziyah. She really has kind of touched the world. I have people on my lives this week from London, the UK, Africa, all over the world that have been in my personal lives this week. And just for whatever reason, that cute little face has gotten into the hearts of people. And that within itself is a blessing, because again, little Black girls do not get the coverage media wise.
Yes.
They do not. um and they are always sexualized and things like that. We can look at the R. Kelly case and see how long that went on, and was covered up and um enabled and everything else, because it was little Black girls,
Mm-hmm.
uh more than anything. And so so God is still good, is what I'm trying to say. Despite of this tragedy, we can still depend on our faith. So I'm not going to belabor the show. If anybody has any final thoughts, please go ahead and share them now. Y'all sleep?
No, I just want to
No,
say,
no.
Jenell and Kewana, you guys are very brave. You are to be commended, respected, and commended. And I like the way that you looked after Naziah, and you tried to stop it before it got to this point. And don't feel that all is lost, because we know that justice is going to come. There will be a resting place of peace in your hearts one day. I can't tell you when, but if I can tell that you guys are Christians and believe in God. So your justice will come. Vengeance is His, and nobody can give you the type of vengeance like God.
That's
So
right.
let's just lean on that and keep trusting in Him. And we're not going to give all the thoughts on this Jarvis guy. He doesn't deserve it. Actually, I wish people would even just stop calling his name. Just call him a monster, because the attention and the thoughts should be on Naziah and her other siblings and cousins, and everyone. And I'm gonna stick with that. I don't like calling this man name. He's not worthy of it. I'm gonna keep my prayers with um, finding Isaiah. I'm gonna say it like that. I'm not gonna say we're gonna find her deceased. I'm just gonna say finding Isaiah, and however we find her in the will of God.
Yeah.
But you two are well respected, and I promise you will stay in my prayers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And is that it for you guys? You guys have any other thoughts
No,
to share before we log off?
no.
Someone in the comments was asking if you two have Cash App. I think probably something something will come down the pipe later on, once you start with the nonprofit.
Yeah, we're not
Tawana.
accepting any funds right now.
Yeah,
We want
not
to
at
make
this
sure
Yeah,
it's
time.
set up
We want to,
appropriately
yeah,
yeah, we
to
want to make sure
a
the
trust.
proceeds go where they're supposed to go. And even if we connect, Cash Apps and GoFundMe's, we want to make sure that the money is going to, a reward and so on. But we definitely would like to thank anyone that's offered.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll keep you guys posted. Keep follow the channel, please subscribe and all of that stuff. And we'll definitely stay connected with these ladies, so that we can find out about anything upcoming. The audience is saying thank you and all of that. So we'll get together and talk about if we, when we can get together again. Thank you so much to my dear
Thank you.
sister Lori Clark Horton.
My sister Deborah, thank you so much. You're always, I
Uh,
love the way that you connect with the community and how you
Thank
try to
you.
help get the stories told out there and engage the community. I love it. Thank you. And thank you for having me as your co-host tonight.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
so
having us
much.
as well and
Yes.
letting
Thank
us
you.
get some stuff off our chest and clear things up and talk
Yeah,
about Naziah and
yeah,
Yeah, we
uh,
appreciate you. Absolutely.
yeah. We forgot to say, with the rough start that we had, today marks the day of her 1 year of the 1 year anniversary for for when Ziyah disappeared. The last day that she was seen was January the 9th, 2024. So this is a very special day, and I was glad that the judge even honored that. She stopped in her sentencing to honor this baby in her little short life. And so this was important to the family. And again, like I said, Ziyah was loved. She was loved, regardless of what her immediate environment was. She was a loved child. Maybe was not, didn't always know it. I don't know, but she was loved. And I wish that the public would stop with the broad strokes about the family. They loved Ziyah, and they would have done anything for her had it not been for barriers. So I want to make sure that that is clear. Thank you so much, ladies. Good night. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you guys. And
Thank you. Good night,
thank you,
all.
everybody that tuned in, and we'll talk again soon.
Alrighty. Good night, all.
Thank you.
Night all. Enjoy more of our videos on the Community Advocate Network channel, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to advertise your service, special announcement, or event, you may contact us at the Community Advocate Network at gmail.com. For community resources or services, visit our website at www.canmichigan.com.